Hello and welcome to Prairie Pulse. Coming up a little bit later in the show, we'll visit with Artist on Main in Roseau, Minnesota. But first, joining me now is Kate Stevenson, Jamestown College Chair of Foreign Language Department and Associate Professor of German and French. And also something special we'll get into in just a minute. Kate, thanks for joining us today. As we get started, tell the folks a little bit about yourself and your background.
I'm originally from Walhalla, North Dakota. I went to high school in Jamestown, and fate has brought me back to Jamestown. I've been at Jamestown College for the past 30 years, and am kind of one of the foreign language people of the community. So I love to learn languages, love to teach languages, and like living in the middle of North Dakota.
Okay. Then talk a little bit about what you teach and what all you do at Jamestown College. You've been there for a few years.
A couple, yes. Yeah. I'm part of the Foreign Language Department. We teach German, French, and Spanish as our major languages. We also have a beginning program in Chinese that's pretty exciting. In fact, I'm going to China in less than a week, and we'll be there for 6 weeks with our partner university, which is Huizhou University in southern China in Guangdong province. Then we have majors in German, French, and Spanish, and work with our student teachers to become teachers in the languages, and have a wonderful community. You know,
we've had folks from Jamestown College on before and talked about the college, but what do you feel seems to make Jamestown College so special?
I think part of it is that we are a community, that we are a group of people who support each other. The college is small enough that if people are interested in a lot of activities, they can become polyvalent. They can become active in many organizations. We have football players in the choir who are also in plays. I have students that are majoring in biology and nursing who are also in my language classes and who travel abroad. We have a lot of programs that take people abroad, which is probably not all that known outside of the world, because one thing that I think that we could improve on is telling people our story.
And I understand you also work with international students.
I'm the international student advisor as well. We have programs, some exchange programs that we work with. We have the Cosmopolitan Club that is in Frankfurt, and every year we have a student from Germany who comes from from the Frankfurt area. We have participation in the International Student Exchange Program, and partnership with Huizhou University, which is right now just a teacher exchange. But then we also have a student program with Amnam University in South Korea.
Oh, that's interesting. But one of the reasons I think we brought you here today was to talk about Peggy Lee.
Right.
And I guess you are an interpreter of Peggy Lee, so to speak. So let's talk about that. First, let's start off with talk a little bit about Peggy Lee and where she grew up and some of her history in North Dakota.
Well, Peggy Lee is in the Rough Rider Hall of Fame. One of the early people to be in the Rough Rider Hall of Fame. She became famous nationally probably when she had her first hits with Benny Goodman's band, and that was in Chicago. She'd had kind of a rocky start getting herself known. She sang in Minneapolis. She sang in Fargo, of course. Sang in Minneapolis, had a time going out to LA, came back, then went to Minneapolis again, went on to Chicago, and was in the right place at the right time, and was able to replace Helen Forrest, who had just quit with Benny Goodman. Benny Goodman's wife heard her performing at a place in the Ambassador Hotel called the Buttery and thought she'd be a good replacement, and with very little preparation, all of a sudden she was singing with a nationally known big band.
Wow. Do you think maybe she got her first big break on maybe WDAY radio?
Absolutely. Yeah. In fact, Ken Kennedy gave her name.
Is that right?
He said, "You look like a Peggy Lee," which is interesting because you think Peggy Lee is her name, but there was actually a series of children's books called Peggy Lee Books for Girls, and then there was also, I think, a brand of cookies. So Peggy Lee was a concept.
Okay.
One of her things too is that there's a symbol. If you look on her Peggy Lee website, there's a symbol with the P and the L that's very, very recognizable. That's the Peggy Lee logo. Actually, that's from the Park Lane Hotel. The Park Lane Hotel had these doorknobs, and this is the story I have from Holly, or maybe it was from Nikki, either from Peggy Lee's daughter or from her granddaughter, that when the Park Lane Hotel remodeled and they had all these wonderful PL doorknobs, she had them, she got them and put them in her house in Bel Air.
Well, now, Peggy Lee, she had a troubled childhood, too. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, the first trouble that happened was that her mother died when she was 4. Peggy Lee was born in Jamestown, probably at Trinity Hospital. And we don't know because, of course, the Capitol burned and all of the records got destroyed. But she would talk about being born in Jamestown. It was the only hospital at the time. Her mother, Selma, died when she was 4. She remembered her early years as being a time when she had a lot of love. Then her father remarried and married a woman named Min Eggstrom. Actually, she was Min Weezy. She became Min Eggstrom when she married into the Eggstrom family. And Min was, she already had a son. She had already been married once. It was, I think, in a way, a marriage of convenience. And she was just a big woman who wasn't very nice to her from all reports I've heard.
Okay.
And up to the point of physical abuse.
Yeah, and of course we know some of the history there. But how in the world did you become interested in Peggy Lee?
Well, being from North Dakota, I've always known that Peggy Lee was from North Dakota. So I guess that she was kind of part of that background of things that you know. But it was, oh my goodness, in maybe 96, the Art Center in Jamestown had asked me and Daniil Combi if we would do a performance where we would combine singing and speaking, because Daniil was a wonderful speaker and they knew I could sing. So we were looking for a theme because we were trying to raise money to get a carpet for the Art Center. And it just occurred to me, I wonder if there's enough about Peggy Lee that we could do a show. And my goodness, was I surprised. My housemate at the time, the two of us went into this absolute insane time of learning about Peggy Lee, and the more we found out, the more we fell in love with her.
Well, you don't like the term impersonator, I don't believe. Interpreter.
Yeah, I don't really, okay. I'm not, I've been to Las Vegas and I've seen all the Elvises running around. I'm not one of them.
Yeah. But how long did it take for you to sort of perfect the act that you do?
Well, that first show that we did, we had maybe 2 months to prepare, and I learned so much from watching her videos. I had people who were really strongly helping me, especially Dave Torreson from the PeggyLee.com website. He gave me a lot of music, a lot of insights, a lot of videos, so that I could see her. Because before the days of YouTube, it was hard to know what a performer looked like if they weren't in the public eye. Now, of course, you can find a lot of her on YouTube, and it's a wonderful thing to be able to see how she performed. But back then, and so I listened a lot, and before this I was a coloratura, so it's a very big difference to go from really streamy high notes to work on this easy conversational form of singing that she had. It was such a her vocal production is so clean. It's really fun to listen to her, and you can learn a lot.
Right.
And I've learned a lot.
Maybe we'll ask you to sing for us in a little while. Where do you typically perform as Peggy Lee, and how often?
I perform when I perform when people ask me, and when it works with scheduling. You know, it's not my day job, so I have a wonderful accompanist, Carrie Kraft, who's a piano teacher in Jamestown and organist at the Catholic Church, from Valley City originally, who is just a trooper. And so when we can get our schedules together to be able to perform at a function that people have asked us for, we do. And I've been on Dakota Air a couple of times. Love those people. That band is so fun to sing with.
Well, good. But let's turn a little bit. There's something going on in Jamestown that debuted, I guess, last year. But the Depot and the Museum in Jamestown. Can you tell us a little bit about that? And of course, that features Peggy Lee.
Actually, unfortunately, the Depot in Jamestown was destroyed a long time ago. Yeah. We're in Wimbledon with the Peggy Lee Museum.
Yeah, it is. Thank you for
But that's an interesting thing, because I believe that at some point Jamestown does need to step up. The museum in Wimbledon is a wonderful gem. We've had I've had such a good time knowing the people in Wimbledon and working with them. And probably since 2001, I've worked with them a little bit more closely, because that was when Jamestown College awarded the honorary doctorate to Peggy Lee. And Nikki Lee Foster and her son Michael came to the college to accept the doctorate. At that time, Peggy Lee was still alive, but she'd had a really bad stroke. So the family came to represent her, and we came out to Wimbledon and met with Mary Beth Bultema's mother, Myrna Bultema. I mean, Mary Beth Bultema, Mary Beth Orne. She's not, I knew her when we were in high school, so. But Mary Beth Orne's mother, Myrna Bultema, was such a wonderful proponent of that museum, of that depot. At the time it wasn't restored, but it was still authentic and a gem. And the family was very excited to see how the Wimbledon community really rallied to that time.
Yeah. So when you go to Wimbledon,
yes,
and what would you see there as a visitor if you were to go there and have the opportunity?
Well, you come into town and then you find a little sign that says turn here, and then you really take a trip back in time because you go past an old hotel that's in somewhat disrepair, and then you come right to the depot. The depot has been so meticulously restored that it's like walking back in time. It's fresh, it's clean, it's up to date. The displays are world class. It really is a fine museum.
Well, and of course I understand you do sit on the board, but so how is the depot and the museum funded? How does it operate? Yeah.
I believe, you know, so they don't let me in on finances, but they're funded through grants that they apply for. A lot of the things they've done have been through grants, through gifts, through donations, and they're always excited to have people find out about them and help them financially as well.
Sure. Well, can you talk more? Let's go back to Peggy Lee. Talk about sort of Peggy Lee's ups and downs during her career.
Well, in the 40s, she was really becoming famous, but in the 40s is also when she had her daughter, Nikki, and she married, well, let's go back. She married the guitarist from the Benny Goodman Band, who was Dave Barber, love of her life. And they had a daughter, and at that point, she really wanted to dedicate her world to being a mother and wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. I mean, it's the 40s, it's the time. And found out that financially they really needed to put her back on the road and put her back in performance. She and Dave Barber were writing songs at that time that were hits and were performing songs that were hits, so her retirement really never was able to take. Then that marriage failed. I think in some ways you have with Peggy Lee, you have a career that was her driving force, and her creative bent really was a driving force in her life, and her romantic life was a little bit less than desirable. Although being a star, she was always in the public eye. You know, she would be in the equivalent of the National Enquirer all the time about, you know, this new thing and this new thing. She had a few marriages, but throughout all of that, she had a career that was so rock solid. Especially in the 50s, she was on television, she was making movies. I don't know how she did all the things she did between 1955 and 1959, because the list of things she did was just amazing. She was in a couple of feature films, but discovered that she had a better career if she just kept singing. So her final career wound up having over 70 cut albums, which is quite a legacy.
Yeah, and people may not realize she was an Oscar-nominated actress. She played a wonderful role in a somewhat unremarkable film called Pete Kelly's Blues with the Dragnet guy, Jack Webb, who was kind of the driver behind it. She played kind of a down-and-out singer named Rose, who at the end of the movie goes crazy and plays such a wonderful range of characters, and really has such good vocal delivery in her speaking as well as in her singing that it's fun to watch. And I also understand she had a very public legal battle with Disney over Lady and the Tramp. Well, during that time, you know, she did the Pete Kelly's Blues and Lady and the Tramp all at the same time. For Lady and the Tramp, she was writing the songs along with Sonny Burke, who wrote the music, and performed 4 of the voices. And one of the characters, the dog named Peg, who sings "He's a Tramp, but I love him," that whole work was something that they got paid for as artists. But when Disney
came out with videos, they weren't paying their artists who were originally responsible for creating these works. They weren't paying them any royalties because they said that video, oh, that's not in the contract. And so she called them to court about that because she was somewhat litigious. She really liked to make sure that legal rights were observed for artists and was really known as a strong proponent of artists' rights. And so she sued Disney and she beat the mouse.
Wow.
Although they have yet to hear a lot of money from that settlement.
Yeah. Well, but then, you know, with all of that said and with everything you've told us about, and I know we've probably hit just a lot of the highlights, what is it that makes her so special and so enduring even to this day?
She was an actress and singer at the same time and was able to deliver a song with such intensity that you felt you were watching a play every time you saw her take on a song. She didn't sing a song. She became the song. She became the character. And to watch her move from one to the other is like watching poetry. She was also one of those complete artists. She painted, she sculpted, she wrote lyrics, she wrote songs. She's in the Songwriters Hall of Fame, one of the few women who's in the Songwriters Hall of Fame, and is, I think she's an actress that didn't get enough time on television for people to really get to know her, but if you see any of her television specials, you realize there's really a spark there. And her vocal performance, her vocal quality is dead on.
So then, you know, did Peggy Lee ever, you know, come back to North Dakota, or what did she think of North Dakota?
She always spoke so highly of North Dakota and spoke with love of being on the prairie. She wrote an autobiography that spoke a lot about being in North Dakota growing up. She never failed to say, I am originally from Jamestown, North Dakota. I think for her, Jamestown was a symbol because Jamestown was where she had her mother, and it was where she really felt like her world was intact. And I think also because she felt that Jamestown seemed to be a big town to her. And so she would always tell people that she was really Norma Dolores Eggstrom from Jamestown, North Dakota.
Well, Kate, we've got a few minutes and I got a few more questions, but can you give us a little bit of a song from Peggy Lee's?
Well, you know what I'd like to share with you is just a little bit from a song that she wrote with Dave Barber that's from the 40s. It's called I Don't Know Enough About You. And I think that this song says something about the fact that we don't know enough about Peggy Lee. So those of you with perfect pitch, please don't pay attention to what I'm doing. I know a little bit about a lot of things, but I don't know enough about you. Just when I think you're mine, you try a different line. And baby, what can I do? I read the latest news, no buttons on my shoes. But baby, I'm confused about you. You get me in a spin, oh, what a stew I'm in. 'Cause I don't know enough about you. And then there's some da-da-da.
Thank you very much. Can you compare Peggy Lee to other female artists of her era, like, of course, Billie Holiday, Dinah Shore, Doris Day, Judy Garland?
She learned so much from Billie Holiday's singing. In fact, Peggy Lee is one of those singers who was an early person you could say was a crossover. She crossed color lines like crazy in the 40s and in the 50s and in the 60s, and sang with so much soul that she was able to keep pace with Ella Fitzgerald in performance. There's a wonderful performance that has her and Ella together, and they just have such power. She had a lot of good rhythm, a lot of good soul, and I think that puts her kind of on the borderline, so that she was able to get a lot from Billie Holiday and from Billie's way of singing a song with soul. I don't think she's as. I think that a lot of times you think about Dinah Shore and Doris Day, and their singing style is very very G-rated. I think you would never say that Peggy Lee was G-rated, even though she did do some songs for children. But Peggy Lee always had that kind of sultry aura about her and was always edgier than a lot of those other popular singers.
So, Kate, obviously you've been doing this for a few years with your performances of Peggy Lee. do you still go back and work on it and look at things continually? Or?
Oh, there are all sorts of songs I would love to sing that she does that I haven't done. There are songs that I used to do that I don't do so much anymore. When you've got a songbook of over 200 original compositions and a lot of other songs that she sang from other people that became her signature songs, there's so much to choose from. They're just, it's really rich.
Well, okay, if people want more information about Jamestown College, which we talked about earlier, or Peggy Lee, where can they go?
Well, I suppose the easiest way to do it is to go to websites, and Jamestown College is www.jc.edu, so that's very quick to get to. And for Peggy Lee, there's also a peggylee.com, run by her family.
Well, and with that said, we've got a few more seconds. Will you give us one more tune?
How about something that ties in the idea of the Midland Continental Railroad and Peggy Lee?
Sure.
Waiting for the train to come in, I'm waiting for my man to come home. I've counted every minute of each livelong day, been so melancholy since he went away. I've cried a million teardrops or more, waiting for the one I adore. I'm sitting at the window by the railroad track, waiting for that choo-choo train that brings him back. I'm waiting for my life to begin, waiting for the train to come in.
Artist on Main is a fine arts gallery filled with the works of talented local artists. Nestled on Main Street in Roseau, Minnesota, the mission of this unique co-op is to provide arts access to locally made products.
Welcome to Artists on Main. We started this store in 2010, and it was a brainstorm of a few of us to have a shop at Christmas time. 10 of us split the rent and we put it together in 2 weeks. I decided that we would open it for anybody else that would like to come in with us. We started out with 10. At the end of December, we had 20 people. More people after that. We ended up with about 25. This is almost 3 years ago now. Having a store, you can make more product because you're not going to have it sitting at home in a closet. If you have painted 20 pictures a year, now you have a location to bring your work, you can paint 50 and then also increase your income from the art sold. This area here has been done by Sarah Trangsrud. She does pottery, and she was one of the first people who helped start Artists on Main.
Artists on Main has given artists in this community an opportunity to get their artwork out there. There's been many times I've been in there and somebody walks in and says, I never knew this shop was here. I didn't know there was that many artists in this community. And actually, it's only a fraction of what's in the community. There is so much creativity in the area, and this gives such a good outlet for that.
We're brainstorming all the time new products. That's exciting. We have products that are being created by artists who never have even touched some of the media that they're working in now presently. Another thing, as a store, we're very sensitive to each other and what we make. So we have a good balance in what is created within the store here. It works because there are committed people who are willing to work. You have to have a person or persons with a passion to be here. It's not like a regular job. I have a studio here. I basically come here to play. I work, I paint, I work on my metal, talk to people all day. This area here is done by Jean Honnell, who is a rose mauler and does a beautiful product. She's local, as all of the other artists in this store.
You know what, that is a fun thing because you have other artists besides yourself and they're creating what they want to create. I'm hoping that it will stay in Roseau. I'm hoping we can keep that open, but it's a fun thing to do, to meet with other artists too and see what they are doing. We're all so different.
I've received so much in my life from other people supporting my art, and that is my passion, to encourage them, to give them a selling location in town, downtown, and to be able to promote them as artists. You can bring the mess here and we'll make it pretty.
Well, that's all we have on Prairie Pulse for this week, and as always, thanks for watching.
Funded in part by the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund, with money from the vote of the people of Minnesota on November 4th, 2008, and by the members of Prairie Public.